Welcome back to Black Swan Outdoors. Today we're going to talk about kind of the fire kit, I guess you could say. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube with people with different types of kits that they carry with them, and very comprehensive amount of equipment with multiple different ways of starting fires and different types of tinder and so on and so forth. And really a lot of that's overkill. Obviously, if you are interested in bushcraft and it's a kit that you put together so you can practice your skills and all that, that's great. But in terms of most people when they're hiking or canoeing, you're most likely not going to be taking that kind of robust type of equipment with you, or necessarily don't need to, I should say. This video, I thought we'd talk a little bit about kind of my evolution of thought in fire kits and some things that you might want to carry with you, and some overall thoughts. Now, I've did some videos before on fire starting and that, so some of this might be a little bit redundant, some of it might be new. I haven't watched that video for a while, so in any case, I think I'm due for another update on fire skills. So I'm not going to start a fire today. I'm in a park where I can't do that, but that's okay. So just kind of was walking, thought I'd just do a little pocket dump and show you some of the gear that I have. Now, when I first started out with the outdoors back in my teens, when I was in Scouts, matches was the thing. Matches was this is what you started your fire with. We very rarely had cigarette lighters. Oftentimes, for whatever reason, this was not something you asked your parents to buy you, and it's not something that what was encouraged to have in my scouting experience. Not until it was later on, when I'm lighting MSR stoves and other camp stoves, did I find this to be super helpful. And generally speaking, that's all I'd ever use a lighter for, is just starting a stove. I'm almost never, and I still to this day very rarely start a fire with a lighter. It's wet conditions, they get hot. If they get wet, they don't work very well. They can get cracked, not very reliable. I've taken lighters out in the field and they actually been empty because I just put them in my cook kit and don't really realize how much fuel I've had used over time, or they get depressed here, and all the gas leaks out. Never been a huge fan of lighters, but they're super handy and easy to use. So I'm not going to knock them. But matches really is the thing. Back when I was younger, it was always, could you start a fire with one match? And that was kind of your rite of passage, so to speak. That you weren't really a fire builder until you built a match with one fire, lit a fire with one match. And so inside here, I often don't like to carry just one match, but I carry a different variety of matches. So I have strike anywhere matches, which is that green and white tip, so that way I can strike that on a rock. The white tip there is just a regular stick match, and then the red is a lifeboat match. And that's your emergency match. So if in wet conditions, absolutely need to get that fire started, that's the match I'm going to go for. The strike anywheres and the regular stick matches, those are cheap. I can refill my kit with those pretty readily. And one container of matches will do me well for even a longer trip out of doors. But again, matches are just always great things, and in recent times matches has become my backup. This is what I would carry in my pack with me if I can't get a fire started with my primary means, which is the flint with my ferrocerium rod. Then I go for a backup with some matches. So generally when I'm on a longer longer backpacking trek, or particularly longer canoeing trek, I'm bringing all three of these. If I'm just backpacking, I might just bring a lighter and a ferro rod, or matches and a ferro rod. because I can light my stoves with the ferro rod just as easy as the as the lighter. I always carry the ferro rod in my pocket, whereas matches, I used to always carry matches in my pocket, and nowadays that's in a pack. So if I get separated from my pack, I always have a means of starting a fire, and I always carry my compass on my person as well. So I have a compass and I have a means to start a fire, and then a pocket knife. So a lot of times you see people getting really go overboard with knives, particularly in the bushcraft community. I've spent probably most of my wilderness career as a guide, as an enthusiast, going out in the bush with nothing but more than a Swiss Army knife. The Swiss Army knife, the climber version, was my favorite because it had scissors. In particular, the second favorite is this. This is the rucksack, because it's got a saw and a long blade. And that long blade is fantastic for getting into a peanut butter jar or doing the things that you would need to do with a that gives you the advantage of a fixed blade length, but this gives you then more tools to have with you. Yeah, this is one of my favorite outdoor knives, bar none. And with any Swiss Army knife, any knife you can get in a match, you should be able to get a fire started. You really don't need much more than that. If I was to put together a kit, then what I would do is, I don't know if I would include a knife in the kit, but I would have matches in my pack. I would have the ferro rod in my pocket, pocket knife in my pocket, lighter with the matches, and then this guy here. And this is a bellows tube. This is the best way to get a fast fire started in any condition, particularly wet conditions. Basically what it does is it allows you to blow one end and get the other end right into the fire when you're starting your fire, and it just brings up a ton of oxygen. So to get a fire started, you need a spark, just like an engine. You need spark, you need fuel, and you need oxygen, air. So this bellows tube allows you to be able to get a fire started in wet conditions, or in any conditions. You absolutely need to get a fire started very fast. So this is well worth carrying in your pack. So yeah, if I was going to carry a fire kit, that's pretty much what I would carry with me. If I was just going out for a day hike, as I am here today, you know, just absolutely no need for much more than just a ferro rod, I think, and a pocket knife. If you don't have a bellows tube, just pinch your fingers together like this. See, I don't have a tripod with me. Making a diamond shape with your two fingers. And then just blow right inside that diamond, and that's going to direct that air, and do the same as the bellows tube. Not as good, but just as good. Keeps your head from getting into smoke, and then you could also in emergency use this to drink from as well. So if you found a depression in a rock, or drinking from a stream, or drinking from a cup in a plant, cup feature in a plant, yeah, this makes for a great way to drink survival water if you needed it. So that's my kit. That's all you would really need in the outdoors to get a fire started. Review my video if you'd like on fire starting, and that'll give you a good idea of how to think about approaching fire starting, and shows you kind of in-field use of that. If you are going to take a larger knife out, like a fixed blade knife like this, I think it's important to have a 90-degree spine. That's going to help get spark off your ferrocerium rod, and it's also going to help you get some shavings off of sticks, so you have some fine powder that you can light with. And then it gives you a full tang or sturdy knife is going to give you the ability to baton larger pieces of wood to get that inner core, that dry stuff on the inside. You can do the same for smaller sticks with a Swiss Army knife, and just do really small, you know, something like this size to get that inside, to get that, and get a lot of these little guys, and then you can put wet fuel on there. You don't have to go with larger pieces of stick. I could even go as large as something like this, you know, thumb size, with a Swiss Army knife, no problem batoning that carefully, and done that for years and years and years. This gives you the ability to do a little bigger, and then you can carry a much bigger knife, but it does brings absolutely no value. If you get your fire started, you can with your tinder, you can get quite a bit of warmth off of that. Not necessary to bring a big knife.